no headings, no mentions, just a seamless speech that sounds like her from the first breath of morning light to the deepest quiet of midnight. There are moments that define us, shape us, and remind us of who we want to become. Today, as I stand before you, I carry with me both the clarity of dawn and the reflection that only the night can give, and within that rhythm of time, one constant has remained at the center of my life, the sister who has walked beside me in every season. There are mornings when the world feels open and full of promise. Those are the moments when hope rises naturally, when the future seems ready to unfold with gentle certainty. For me, those mornings often began with a voice, a laugh, or a shared glance that needed no explanation. Sofia has been part of every beginning, every new chapter, every step toward understanding the role I am preparing to embrace. Her optimism reminds me that duty is lighter when carried with joy, and that responsibility is stronger when supported by trust. And then there are the midnights, the moments when silence wraps everything, when questions become clearer, and when the heart speaks honestly. In those quiet hours, I have learned to reflect deeply, to understand the weight of the commitments I hold, and to find strength in the values that guide our family. Those reflections are never lonely. They are shaped by memories of shared decisions, shared challenges, and the bond that has prepared us for the lives we lead. Between morning and midnight, I have discovered that leadership is not built only in public moments. It grows in private ones, in the small habits we practice, in the discipline we choose, in the kindness we offer even when no one sees it. And throughout my life, the person who has reminded me of these truths again and again is Sofia. She has taught me resilience not through grand gestures, but through the quiet certainty of always standing close, always believing, always encouraging. As we step toward a future filled with change, learning, and service, I carry with me the understanding that we are never alone in our purpose. My journey is strengthened by the people I love, especially the one who has shared my path since the very beginning. We have learned that the world is not shaped only by decisions made at noon, in full light, but also by the steady courage we gather at dawn and the honesty we find at midnight. To everyone listening today, I hope you remember that your own mornings and midnights matter. They are not just hours, they are reminders, moments to begin again, moments to reflect, moments to understand yourself better and choose the kind of person you wish to be. And if you are lucky enough to have someone who walks with you, whether a sibling, a friend, or someone who simply believes in your dreams, then you already carry a strength greater than any challenge ahead. My journey continues with gratitude, with purpose, and with the certainty that the values we learn at home are the ones that will guide us the farthest. Every sunrise reminds me of the responsibility I embrace. Every midnight reminds me of why I embrace it, and between them lies the bond that has shaped my life, one that gives me courage, humility, and hope. So as I look toward the future, I do so with a heart grounded in the lessons of time, and with the quiet conviction that the love and unity we build within our families become the foundations of everything we give to the world. There are moments in life when we instinctively look for something steady, something familiar, something that reassures us even before words are spoken. For me, that steady presence has always been Sofia. She is woven into every memory of my childhood, every milestone, every moment when I needed to remember who I am beyond titles, expectations, and responsibilities. Her presence has been a constant anchor, not because she stands still, but because she moves with me, quietly, firmly, and with a kind of sincerity that becomes more powerful with time. From the earliest days, when the world felt enormous and uncertain, her companionship made everything feel possible. We grew up exploring the same hallways, listening to the same stories, and learning side by side what it meant to belong to a family that carries both love and duty. Even then, long before responsibility had a name or a shape, her closeness had a grounding effect. I always knew that no matter where my path would lead, she would be close enough to understand the emotions behind my decisions, not because she was expected to, but because she chose to. There is a unique comfort in having someone who sees you without needing explanations, someone who understands the difference between your quiet moments and your thoughtful ones, who recognizes when your silence means strength and when it means vulnerability. Sofia carries that understanding with her naturally. She notices the things I don't say, and sometimes, without either of us acknowledging it, she becomes the reason I breathe easier, stand straighter, or feel braver. Responsibility has a way of shaping your days differently than most. It requires discipline, patience, and a constant awareness of the role you embody. And yet, in the midst of all that structure, she has always brought lightness, never by ignoring the weight of duty, but by reminding me that I don't carry it alone. Her laughter fills the quiet spaces of our life. Her energy brings movement to moments that would otherwise feel heavy, and her kindness adds warmth to the expectations placed upon us. She is like the steady rhythm that prevents everything from feeling too overwhelming. As we have grown older, our bond has deepened in ways that are hard to describe, not because of grand gestures or dramatic moments, but because of the consistency of her character. We have shared countless conversations, both spoken and unspoken, and within them lies a trust that has carried us through every transition. There were days when I felt the full weight of what my future holds, and all she had to do was stand beside me. That simple act, her presence, became the reassurance I didn't know I needed. She has always had a quiet strength, one that doesn't demand attention yet influences everything around it. When I look at her, I see someone who listens before she speaks, who observes the world with clarity, who understands people with an intuition that surprises even me. She grounds me by being herself, complicated, sincere, and loyal in a way that makes every challenge seem less daunting. There are moments I remember vividly, moments when I saw how she steadied not just me, but everything around her. On days filled with public duties, when the world is watching and every gesture feels magnified, she carries herself with a calmness that reassures me. She may not realize it, but her presence during those moments becomes a reminder of the most important truth, that behind every responsibility lies a person, and behind every person stands someone who believes in them without hesitation. The beauty of having her by my side is not in the support she offers during extraordinary moments, but in the constancy she brings to ordinary ones. Morning routines, shared meals, small conversations before stepping into the world, these simple fragments of life become the foundation of everything I do. They remind me that strength is built in stillness just as much as in action, and that companionship is one of the most powerful forms of courage. There are nights when reflection comes easily, when the silence invites honesty, and I find myself thinking about how much of who I am has been shaped by walking this path with her. Not because she shadows me, but because she walks beside me at her own pace, with her own light, creating a balance that keeps us both rooted. She offers perspective when I need clarity, softness when I need understanding, and determination when I need to remember why we do what we do. In the rhythm of our lives, she is the steady note that never falters. She reminds me that leadership is not a solitary journey, that purpose is strengthened by companionship, and that no responsibility is too great when shared with someone who truly knows your heart. Her presence has taught me patience, humility, and the value of quiet resilience. She has taught me that strength does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it stands calmly beside you, asking nothing in return. As we step into the future, I carry with me an unspoken gratitude for the bond we share. It is a bond built not merely on blood, but on trust, understanding, and years of growing together, not just as sisters, but as two people learning to navigate a world that watches closely. She has given me the courage to face uncertainty, the reassurance that I am never alone, and the comfort of knowing that whatever the world brings, there will always be one person whose presence steadies me without effort. Her role in my life is not defined by moments of grandeur, but by the quiet consistency that anchors every choice I make, and for that I am endlessly grateful. Her presence has shaped my mornings with hope, my days with purpose, and my midnights with peace. The journey ahead may be long, demanding, and full of change, but with her beside me, I know that every step will find its balance, every challenge will find its answer, and every moment will find its meaning. She has been, and continues to be, the anchor that keeps me grounded, steady, and certain of who I am, both in the public eye and in the quietest corners of my life. Time has a way of shaping us long before we realize it. It moves quietly, marking our days with moments that seem small at first, yet stay with us long after they pass. From the earliest mornings to the deepest midnights, time has been both a guide and a reminder of the responsibility I carry. It shows me where I've come from, it whispers where I need to go, and it teaches me that every step, no matter how small, holds meaning. There are mornings when the light filters in with a softness that feels like encouragement. Those hours remind me that each day begins with possibility, that waking up is more than a routine. It is a gentle call to continue learning, to serve with intention, and to grow into the person I am meant to become. The morning is a teacher of hope. It teaches patience because its light comes gradually. It teaches discipline because it invites us to rise and move forward even when the path ahead isn't entirely clear. And for me, it teaches responsibility because each new day brings with it the understanding that I have been entrusted with something larger than myself. But time does not guide only through beginnings. It also shapes us in the hours when everything becomes still. Midnight has a different voice, quieter, deeper, more honest. It is in those quiet moments that I learn to examine my choices with clarity, to understand the weight of my actions, and to reflect on how I may serve better tomorrow. Midnight is not an end, it is a mirror. It reflects what the day has taught, what I may have done well, and what I still need to become. Time is also a reminder that growth does not happen all at once. It arrives in phases, like seasons that shift gradually. There have been moments when I wished to rush ahead, to become everything that is expected of me immediately. But time has shown me that responsibility matures in layers. It is learned through listening, through observing, through making mistakes and understanding them, and through recognizing that every role worth holding requires patience. It teaches that leadership is not found in sudden declarations, but in steady, consistent choices made with sincerity. I have often found guidance in the way days naturally unfold. Morning encourages movement, midday demands focus, evening invites gratitude, midnight calls for reflection. Together, they create a rhythm that keeps me grounded. Time itself becomes a mentor, reminding me when to push forward and when to pause. It reminds me that responsibility is not only the visible part of service, the speeches, the ceremonies, the commitments, but also the quiet work done in private, the learning, the listening, the understanding of people and their needs. Time teaches that duty is lived in the spaces where no one is watching. There is also a kind of strength that time offers when the days feel heavy. In moments of uncertainty, knowing that tomorrow will come gives me courage, and when I look back, the passing years show me how much I have grown, not in sudden leaps, but in small moments that I once thought insignificant. Time has a soft but firm way of proving to us that we can endure more than we imagine, that we can rise after difficult days, and that we can carry expectations with grace if we allow ourselves to learn slowly. I have come to understand that responsibility is not a burden but a partnership with time. Every day is an opportunity to deepen my purpose, to refine my values, and to become more aware of the impact I have on others. The role I prepare for is shaped not only by tradition, but by the choices I make today, tomorrow, and years from now. Time does not demand perfection, it demands consistency. It asks for honesty, for dedication, and for the willingness to continue growing. There are moments when I look ahead, imagining the future, and I feel the weight of what awaits. But then time reminds me that no one becomes ready all at once. Readiness is built from understanding history, understanding people, and understanding oneself. It is shaped by experiences that slowly form clarity. Time asks me to trust that process, to accept that uncertainty is part of growth, and to recognize that every role, even one handed down through generations, requires personal commitment. Time has also taught me the importance of balance. During the brightest hours, when everything is moving quickly and responsibilities fill the day, it reminds me to stay centered and to remember why I do what I do. During the quieter hours, when the world seems still, it gives me space to breathe, to think, and to gather strength. In that balance I find direction. As I continue on this path, I often think about the future not as a distant place, but as a continuation of the choices I make today. Time shapes that path gently, guiding me with the lessons of yesterday and the possibilities of tomorrow. It reminds me that responsibility is not something I carry alone. It is something shaped by those who guide me, those who support me, and those who have walked this road before. Their experiences become part of my understanding, just as one day my choices may serve as guidance for someone else. In the spaces between morning and midnight, time teaches me who I am becoming. It helps me recognize the moments when I must speak and the moments when I must listen. It shows me that leadership is not defined by authority, but by presence, empathy, and the willingness to remain true to one's purpose no matter the circumstances. And it reminds me that even in the most challenging moments, there is always room to grow, room to learn, and room to improve. Perhaps the most powerful guidance time offers is the understanding that every moment matters, not because every moment is grand, but because every moment shapes the person we are becoming. A simple conversation, a quiet reflection, a thoughtful choice, these are the building blocks of responsibility. They transform ordinary days into meaningful ones and remind us that purpose is not found in a single moment, but in the collection of many. As I look toward the years ahead, I do so with gratitude for the lessons time has already given me, and with respect for the responsibility I continue to learn. I know there will be challenges, unexpected turns, moments of doubt, and moments of joy. But I also know that time will continue to guide me, offering clarity in the morning, strength at midday, calm in the evening, and truth at midnight. And with each passing day, I understand more deeply that time is not simply something to move through, it is something to learn from. It shapes us quietly, steadily, and with unwavering patience. It reminds us of who we are, who we have been, and who we are becoming. And in that understanding, I find both direction and purpose, knowing that responsibility is not a destination, but a lifelong journey carried forward one moment at a time. There are certain values we carry with us without ever needing to name them. They grow quietly in the spaces of everyday life, around shared meals, in conversations that linger long after they end, in the gestures that are never forced yet always understood. These are the values that have shaped me from the very beginning, taught not through instruction but through example, lived in the rhythms of family life with a simplicity that becomes profound only when we grow old enough to recognize it. And as I look toward the future, I know that the greatest promise I can make is to carry these values forward with sincerity and purpose. From a young age, I learned that responsibility is not something we perform only when others are watching. It is something we live privately first, in the honesty of our choices, in the humility of listening, and in the willingness to grow. My family taught me that duty begins at home, through respect, through kindness, through patience. These lessons shaped the foundation upon which all public responsibility must stand. Service, I learned, is not an act of grandeur, it is an act of consistency. It begins with the way we treat the people closest to us, and extends outward to the world. I also learned the value of unity, not as a word repeated for tradition's sake, but as a living reality, one that demands understanding even when perspectives differ, and support even when paths diverge. Within my family, unity was never about sameness, it was about connection. It meant standing together not because everything was easy, but because love made it possible to face every challenge with courage. This unity, quiet and unwavering, is something I carry with me as a compass. It reminds me that leadership must always be rooted in the desire to bring people together, to build bridges where differences exist, and to seek harmony where uncertainty threatens. There have been moments when I understood the depth of these values more clearly than others, moments when guidance was offered not through instruction but through example. I learned that strength is not loud, it can be steady, calm, and patient. It can be found in the decision to listen before speaking, in the willingness to adapt, and in the quiet conviction of doing what is right even when it is difficult. My family has shown me that strength and gentleness are not opposites. Together, they create resilience. I was also taught the importance of gratitude for the opportunities I have been given, for the people who support me, and for the lessons that come through challenge as much as through success. Gratitude reminds me to remain grounded, to never take for granted the role I prepare to embrace, and to understand that every responsibility is an invitation to give something meaningful back. This sense of gratitude shapes the way I approach the future, reminding me that service must always begin with appreciation. One of the most meaningful values I carry forward is the belief in the dignity of every person. I grew up seeing how respect, simple, genuine respect, can transform conversations, create trust, and build understanding. I watched how acknowledging the experiences of others allows us to see the world more clearly. This respect is something I hold deeply, and something I hope to reflect in every interaction I have. It is a reminder that leadership is not measured by posing,